Effects of caffeine on the body. How many caffeinated drinks do you consume on a daily basis? 1 cup, 2, 3, perhaps even 7. Coming from a long line of coffee and soda drinkers, as well as being a little bit of a caffeine addict myself in the past, I decided to do a little research on the different effects that caffeine has on the body. From moderate consumption to excessive consumption, caffeine affects the body in different ways. I'm going to inform you on the different ways caffeine affects the human body both negatively and positively, depending upon how much is consumed. In order to fully perceive the scale of effects of caffeine on the body, one must look at how caffeine affects the body in moderate amounts, how it affects the body in minute amounts, as well as how it affects the body in massive amounts. To better understand, we must start by learning the effects of caffeine on a moderate scale, as this is considered the average in caffeine consumption and the amount most people, especially coffee drinkers, intake. Average intake of caffeinated beverages is considered to be around 24 ounces and has both negative and positive effects on the human body. Positive effects. Coffee and tea also contain antioxidants which have positive effects on heart health. The consumption of coffee, especially the component of caffeine, may reduce the risk of liver damage. Constant E. Rule and James E. Everhart analyzed the information gathered in a national population-based survey designed by the National Center for Health Statistics. Negative effects. You may notice a boost in your mood after your morning coffee, but it can induce acute anxiety and irritability. According to Pharmacological Reviews 1999, caffeine has this mood-altering effect because it affects chemical receptors in your brain linked to your emotions and thoughts. Caffeine blocking these receptors causes another domino effect of preventing signals in your brain to have steady emotions, resulting in mood fluctuations. As caffeine makes its rounds in your brain, it further stifles your pituitary gland from secreting hormones that regulate your energy level and motivation. Although you get that immediate burst of energy, your body grows weary over time without more caffeine, or your body is unable to keep up with the change of excessive caffeine all at once. Effects on those who consume less caffeine less often than an average consumer, normally tea drinkers, or those who ingest caffeine only when needed, are a little more extreme in some ways and less dramatic in others. Effects on the body with minimal caffeine consumption. Positive effects are more magnified due to the lack of tolerance to caffeine. Caffeine in low doses is thought to be associated with an improvement in sports performance, increased alertness, and reduction in fatigue, potentially lifting a person's mood. Caffeine is an ingredient in certain brands of over-the-counter and prescription analgesics, generally medications to treat headaches. Since its pain-relieving properties are mild, caffeine is combined with stronger analgesics such as aspirin and acetaminophen to treat the symptoms of headaches, including migraines. Negative effects are less drastic due to the lack of redundancy in which caffeine is used. The last way to understand the effects of caffeine is to look at the consumption by those who consume more than the average amount of caffeine in a day, the caffeine addicts. Usually the people who ingest large quantities of energy drinks daily just to get by. Caffeine addicts and caffeine dependency. Positive effects and continued ingestion of caffeine to maintain these effects. Caffeine is widely used to alleviate fatigue and increase alertness during the start of the day, during the day when alertness begins to wane, and to keep awake for late night studying. The body does not store caffeine, but it can take up to 6 hours before 50% of the caffeine consumed is eliminated. Negative effects and the crash. Caffeine is a stimulant that not only affects your brain chemistry, but also causes rapid heartbeat when used in large quantities. Because caffeine is a drug, you can become addicted. As with any addictive substance, addiction can lead to tolerance, which means you eventually use more to achieve the same stimulating effects. Taking 500 milligrams or more caffeine a day is not safe and can cause digestive upset, panic, heart palpitations, and tremors, according to the Mayo Clinic staff in their journal article titled, "How Much is Too Much?" Users who have to go without can experience withdrawal symptoms such as headache, fatigue, too much caffeine can produce restlessness, nausea, sleep difficulties, upset stomach, increased urine production causing dehydration, and cardiac arrhythmias, otherwise known as irregular heartbeats. It has also been associated with elevated blood pressure in sensitive persons. Understanding the different scales at which caffeine is consumed and the different effects of caffeine in those different levels of consumption can help one to enjoy the benefits of caffeine a little more. Understanding how the body reacts to caffeine in some ways makes it easier to enjoy. First, you must look at how differently caffeine affects the average caffeine consumer, the moderate consumer, as well as the dependent consumer of caffeine. While I'm not trying to sway anyone from enjoying the occasional cup of coffee, glass of tea, bottle of soda, or a can of energy drink, I am simply informing you of what the body experiences every time you indulge in a caffeine craving, so you won't have to worry or wonder about it and how it could possibly affect you.